Hey, Business 20 students, this is Mr. Doucette, and as I promised, I am doing a video instruction on Chapter 7, Trade and Cash Discounts. Trade and cash discounts are used in business to give incentives for buying in bulk. And so many times a manufacturer will sell many products at a discount in order to get a company to buy them. And many businesses are run this way. If you run a retail store or you run even a restaurant, you buy things in bulk. A lot of times they'll give you a trade or cash discount. So that way you can turn around and add back, that retail price to make money. So for instance, we call that buying things wholesale. And when you buy something on wholesale, it's typically cheaper. And then again, you can turn around and you can add your profit margin on top of that to make money. So that's very common. Most often when a business buys and gets a trade or cash discount, it's because they buy on invoice. They usually have 60 or 30 days to pay the invoice. And so your book covers that in the first few sections of chapter 7, 7-1, all the way to 7-2. Actually, the first two sections deal with invoices. So I'm going to show you here an invoice. I'm going to share my screen, a different screen. And here is a typical invoice that you might have. And what the first two sections do is they have you identify the different parts of an invoice. But the main thing that you want to focus on here is right in the middle here, where you have the quantity ordered. You have 16 cases, quantity shipped 16 cases. So this is masking tape, 1/2 inch standard. Each unit costs $21.90. So for you to do the math, you would basically take 16 times $21.90 and add that amount here. Then you have 1.5 inch masking tape. You have 12 cases of those. Each unit case is worth $26.79. So anyway, you're going to do all the math across, and then you're going to do the math down, and that'll give you your total for your invoice. And then, of course, oftentimes there's shipping charges. So you sometimes you have to pay shipping. Sometimes the manufacturers pay shipping. But either way, you would end up totaling your invoice at the bottom. So again, in this case, you might say, well, okay, they had 16 cases of masking tape, 12 cases of 1.5 inch, 26 boxes of reflective tape. And notice it says that they only shipped 11. So that's what you would charge, only the 11. And then the sandpaper assorted, they had 37 cases. So you would add all that up. Once you got your total, let's just say they're going to give you a trade discount of 10%. So you would just multiply that by 10%. That would give you your discount amount. You would deduct that off of the total, and then that would go into your invoice total right here. Now, in this case, there's no discount being offered. There are terms of net 30. That means that they have 30 days from the date of invoice, from June 16th, to pay it. And I'll look at a different one in a bit here to show you what a actual cash discount looks like. This would be an invoice for a trade discount. Okay, in section 7-3, you start getting into some of the mathematics for doing a trade discount. If you go to example number 3, there is a example there. It says gifts galore. A retail gift shop buys merchandise with a list price of $7,600. So I'm going to write that down. From a wholesaler of novelty items and toys, the wholesaler extends a 30% trade discount to the retailer. What is the amount of the trade discount? So I'm going to go back and use my formula that I showed you last week or last time. And in this case, it's $7,600 was the amount of the invoice, and they're going to offer you a 30% discount. So how much is the discount amount, DA? I would just multiply those two together, $2,280 discount. So that's what they're going to give you off of that invoice. So that's the amount of the trade discount. That's what the question is asking. What is the amount of the trade discount? If they wanted to ask you instead, well, what is the amount of the invoice now? You could, two ways you can handle that. You could take the 7,600 and then minus the 2,280. And that would give you how much the invoice total is now after the discount. Or another way you could do it would be is you could do the same thing here. You can do the 7,600 instead of doing the 0.30, you can do the 0.70, which is what's called the equivalent of that. Because again, if you took 1 and you minus 0.30, you would have 0.70. So if you multiplied those two together, 7,600 times 70, so this would be, the answer here would be 5320. But now I'm going to do the math for this other one over here, the same thing, 5320. So there you have the new amount of the invoice is now 5320 instead of 7,600 because you got a 30%. By the way, that is called the net price discount, the complement of the discount amount. So in this case, the discount amount was 30%, but and that was what I had here, discount amount. So that was the first formula I used. You might call that the discount amount formula. And in this, you might call the net price, which again is 1 minus 0.30. I gave you the 70. So when it tells you in the problem to find the net price discount, you'd probably want to use this formula, which again is the equivalent of the other. And if it's asking you for just the discount amount, then use that particular formula. So that's kind of how you work these. Again, you can do it longhand by doing this one here. You could do get the discount amount first and then multiply the discount amount like we did here from the original amount of the invoice, and that would give you your net price there. So hopefully that makes sense. Move on to the next problem. Okay, just for fun, I'm going to go ahead and work out another one of these for 7-4. Again, this is now finding the net price. So net price of an invoice, and this particular problem says Central Hardware Store bought paint supplies, listing price for $2,100. And a single trade discount of 35%. And they want you to find what is the net price of the order, not the discount amount. So because we're trying to find the net price, again, we're going to use this formula where you have the 2,100 here. That's your original amount. We're trying to find this, and we're going to multiply that by 1 minus 35, which would be 0.65. So again, if I just want to find the discount amount, I would just multiply the 2,100 by the 0.35, but because I'm trying to find the net price, I need to multiply 2,100 by the equivalent of that, or the complement of that is a better way to say it. So if I multiply 2,100, that would equal 1,365. That is now my new net price. Now, by the way, these problems use terms that you're very familiar with when it comes to like your paycheck. You know that you get your gross pay and then you get your net pay, right? And your net pay is usually after they deduct all of the different taxes and different things out of your paycheck. And so in the same way, you have so you have your list price. They usually put it this way, your list price. That's what the retail price is, or what's listed on of your invoice, but then you have your net price. And that net price is what you're trying to focus on. When you get a discount from the list price, then your new price is called your net price. And so that's something that should be fairly familiar to all of you. Let's move on to the next section. What I was just working on is also called the net price factor or the complement method. The net price factor is pretty much the opposite of whatever the discount amount was. So if this was 0.30%, then the net price factor would be 1 minus 0.30, which would be 0.70. That is called the net price factor or the complement. This is called the complement method. And you're going to use that again when you're trying to find the net price. So we're going to move on to the next section, which is dealing with when you know the discount rate and you also know the list price. So the list price plus how much of the discount you got. So what is the discount amount, or what is the discount rate that you're going to get? So you're going to try and find how much of a discount am I getting between two numbers? So for instance, on page 199, exercise number 5, example number 5, it says Wilson Sporting Goods recently sold tennis rackets for $109,500 to the Sports Authority. The net price of the order was $63,300. That's quite a big difference between the two. And what they're going to ask you for is what was the trade discount rate? So in other words, what kind of discount did you get for that? So obviously, the way you do that is you divide the 63,000, which is your new list price by the original, or excuse me, your new net price by your original list price, and you would just do the division on those two. And again, I'm going to show you that with the formula here. Maybe I should have did that. Let me write the answer down first. So 63,300 divided by 109,500 equals 0.578 or 57.8%. What to do in this case? I know I just did the math here, but this is not your answer. This is only the net price or complement. So in order to find the answer to the problem, which what it's asking for is what is the discount amount? That's not this discount amount, that's the net price amount of the discount. So I need to go back to my formula. I'm going to do the 63,300. And so when I did the division on that, it came out to 0.578. However, because this is not the discount amount, this is the net price, I'm going to have to subtract that from 1. So 1 minus 578, because I'm trying to find the discount amount, not the net price. So I have to deduct those two, which comes out to 0.422 or 42.2%. So when the question asks you what is the discount rate, you can't take the net price. Now, if it had given me the discount amount here instead, then I would have been able to just do the division, and then whatever the rate came out to, that's what it was. But because I'm dealing with the net price, I have to deduct it from 1 and take the complement of that. So in this case, it came out to 42.2%. Okay, what I was working on thus far was single trade discounts, but sometimes you get a series trade discount by manufacturers, and meaning that they're going to give you multiple discounts over a series of time. And so the problems or questions that you'll have to answer on that is found in section 7-6. And if I was to look at page 203, exercise 6, it says Northeastern Publishers sold order of books to the Bookworm Ink Company, a chain of bookstores. The list price for the order was $25,000. And it says Bookworm buys in volumes from Northwestern. The Bookworm also predominantly displays and heavily advertises Northwestern books. Northwestern, in turn, gives the Bookworm a series trade discounts amounting to 35/20/10. What they're asking you is calculate the net price of the order and the amount of the trade discount. So they want both the net price and they want the discount amount, the total discount amount for the order. So if you did it longhand wise, that's what your problem is asking you to do here, is you would have to take the 25,000 and you have to multiply it by the first trade discount, which is 35%. And then that would give you your discount amount for the 25,000. And then you'd have to take the balance of that. So let's just do the math. This is the longhand way, but there's a fast way to do it. I'm going to show you in a minute. 25,000 times 0.35 equals. So the answer to that is 8750. So then you have to take minus that from the 25,000. And that's going to give you your new amount. So minus 25,000 or minus from 25,000 equals. Okay, so now it's going to be your new amount that you owe after that first discount is $16,250, but then you're going to get another discount. In this case, I don't know if I did them right. It was 35. Yeah. So the next one's going to be 20%. That's my next discount. So I'm going to take 16,250. And I'm going to multiply that by 0.20. And that's going to give me my new discount amount. Another discount is 32.50. So I'm going to minus that from 16. That's going to give me a new balance of 13,000. But I'm also going to get a 10% discount. So I'll get 10% more off of that. That's going to be another 1,300 discount. I'm going to minus that from the 13,000. Oops. Comes out to my new final invoice amount is 14,300. So my net price now from 25,000 is now 14,300. And in order to find how much of a discount I got, I could either add up all of these, or I could just take the 25,000 and then minus the 14,300. Comes out to 10,700. So that was my discount amount, 10,700. My new net price was 14,300. So this is the longhand way of solving these kind of problems with the series discount. So what I'm going to do now, though, is I'm going to show you how to do this in a quicker way. All right, we're going to move into 7-7, and this is, rather than having a single trade discount, sometimes companies offer you a series discount. This is a multiple discounts over the course of months that you will get on your trade with them. So this happens quite often in businesses, and so we're going to be going over how to do that. I already showed you how to do it in the longhand way, but now we're going to show you we're going to expedite that by using what's known as the net price factor. Okay, class, I had to switch locations, but I'm going to continue on explaining some of the concepts from chapter 7 on trade and cash discounts. And I think I gave you already a little explanation of how to do a series of trade discounts by doing it the long method, but now I'm going to show you how to do it using a abbreviated method, which is called the net price factor complement method, and then the other one is going to be called the trade discount by using a single equivalent discount. So those two terms you might want to make note of is the net price factor and then the single equivalent discount. I'm just going to abbreviate that. Single equivalent discount. So each of these are the complement of one another, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So remember in the series discounts that I showed you before, we basically took the total, we deducted the first series discount amount, we deducted that, then we did the second discount percentage off of the remaining balance, and it whittled all the way down. Well, in this particular type of a problem, to do a series, you can do it a lot quicker by using this method, and that is by basically minusing every one of the trade discounts by 1. So I'm going to go to problem number 7-7, example 7. This is on page 203. And this one has a 40, 25, and a 10 trade discount. So basically, if you just deduct each of these, by 1, that's supposed to be a dot. 1 minus, the next one was 25, and then the last one was 10. So that's going to leave you with 90. That's going to leave you with 0.75, and that's going to leave you with 0.65, right? Or 0.55, did I do it wrong? Oh, it's a 40, not a 45, so it's going to leave you with 0.60. All right, so anyways, you're going to multiply all these together, and what you will come up with for your answer is the net price factor. So if I do the math on that, equals 0.405. This is what's called the net price factor. And if you can't see that, oops, I'm going to move that. So the net price factor is basically if you multiply your original amount of your net price, or excuse me, your list price by your net price factor, it will give you your net price. So in this case, the list price for this particular invoice on 7-7 was $37,000. It was Crystal Gallery purchased merchandise from a manufacturer in Italy, and they're going to be given a 40, 25, and 10 series trade discount. And so what they want you to find out is what is the net price. So what is the net price factor and what is the net price? So I already figured out the net price factor, which is right here, by the way. So we just figured out what the net price factor was, which was to take the equivalent of all of the trade discounts, 40, 25, and 10, and we came up with 4.405. That is the net price factor. And why that's the net price factor is if I multiply my list price, which in this case was $37,000 from Crystal Gallery, they got a trade discount of 40, 25, 10. So they're asking what is the net price factor and what is the net price. So when your problem asks for the net price factor, they're asking for you to do this mathematical equation here to get the equivalent of all three of the trade discounts in series and then to multiply them together, and that'll give you your net price factor, and then multiply your list price by your net price factor, and of course that's going to give you your net price. That's why we call it the net price factor. So we're going to multiply that. It's $37,000. You might not be able to see this, times 0.405 equals 14,985. So that is my net price. That's what I'm going to pay. So even though I bought the items for $37,000 because I got a series trade discount of 40, 25, 10, I'm actually only going to pay $14,985 at the end of the day. Now, if I want to find out, well, what is my discount amount? In other words, this is my net price, but how much of a discount did I actually get? The easy way to do it is just to take the 37,000 and minus the 14,985, and my total will come out to be $22,015. That is my discount amount. That's how much I was discounted by using this trade discount that I was given. So we're going to show you another way to do that, though. That's a little easier. I'm going to show you how to find I'm going to find the discount amount by using the single equivalent discount instead of the net price factor. So that's what I'll show you to do next. So hold on. All right, now we're going to look at how to find the single equivalent discount, which unfortunately this is behind my picture. So let me move that down. The single equivalent discount is just the opposite or the complement of the net price factor. So remember, when we work this problem, this is the net price factor. So if I multiply my $37,000 list price by the net price factor, I will get the net price. If I want to find the discount amount, I can subtract the net price from the list price and I would get the discount amount. Or I could simply take the complement of this number, so 1 minus 0.405, which would equal 0.595. Trouble. This number, 0.95595, is the single equivalent discount. And so if your problem asks for the single equivalent discount, you're going to take the complement of the net price factor. So you'll need to figure out the net price factor first by doing this math. And then you will take the complement of that, 1 minus that, that'll be your single equivalent discount. And again, to find, well, how much of a discount did I get? You can use that factor times 0.595, and that's going to equal, I'll do the math on the screen, you can't see it, $22,015, which is the exact amount we came up with when we deducted the list price from the net price. So this is how you do a series of discounts, whether you're looking for the net price factor and the net price, or whether you're looking for the single equivalent discount and the discount amount. You'll use either one of these processes. Okay, so now we're going to move into cash discounts. We had trade discounts. That's what we've been talking about. Now we're going to do cash discounts, and these are a little bit different in Chapter 7, starting in 7-9. So Section 7-9 starts to deal with what's called cash discounts and terms of sale. And typically, you'll find this scenario when somebody buys something on credit of some sort. Most companies, when you have an arrangement with them or a relationship with them, most wholesalers or manufacturers will allow you to buy things on credit and give you terms of sale. And they'll really try and incentivize you to pay off your debts early by giving you a discount if you do that. And so, for instance, I might buy 500 textbooks from a textbook company, being that I'm a college, and I'll have terms with them, like I have to pay that off within 30 days. So I'll put together a purchase order, I'll send it off, they'll approve it, and then they'll send me the material. And then they'll say, by the way, here's your total amount. Maybe they gave me a cash discount as well, I don't know, or a trade discount as well. We're going to give you 25% off your total sale. And then they're going to say, however, if you also pay us within the 30 days that you have, we'll give you a discount, or within a certain amount of time. And so that's what we call a cash discount. It is an additional discount on top of the trade discount that you may have already gotten. And a lot of times you'll see this like on invoices. In fact, I showed you earlier on the invoice that I had put up that there was a net 30, meaning in 30 days it was due. But a lot of times they'll do something that looks more like, 2 and 10 and 30. And those are what we call the terms of the arrangement. And for instance, in this case, if it was 2 and 10, that means I'm going to get a 2% discount if I pay it within 10 days. Or, I have till 30 days to pay it. After that, it becomes late. So these are my terms, and this is how it's oftentimes written. So these different terms determine on when it's due, and it's determined on how much of a discount I'll get. And so in this particular case, if the invoice, let's just say, was dated October 15th, which is what your book uses, then basically you have 10 days. If you pay it within 10 days, you get a 10%, a 2% discount. So in this case, 10 days would be 10.25. So if I pay it by 10.25, I will get a 2% discount on the total tab. And then, of course, net 30 means, well, it's due 30 days from the date that it was originally started. If the invoice date was the 15th, then I have 30 days. So how many days are in October? There's 31 days. So we might say, well, that's easy. Just add 30 days. Well, that would be 11/15, but that is not correct because there's 31 days in October. So if you went 31 days, you'd have to basically say, well, no, it was due on 11/14. So basically, I would have till 11/14 to pay my invoice. On 11/15, it would be late. So your book gets into a lot when it comes to dealing with the dates, and I'm not going to do that. All I do, quite honestly, is I just count. So if it's N30, I start with 10:15, and I'll go 10:15, 10:16, 10:17, or 10:16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. So that was 16 days. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th. That's my 30 days, 11/14. So I do it that way. I know that that's old fashioned, but you can also look on a calendar. That's the best way to do it, to figure out, 30 days till from this date till when it's due. Because there's some months that have 31 days or some months that have 30. You can't just add, the next month to it. You have to figure out how many days it is. And actually the terms there's other kinds of terms. There's one that's called receipt of goods, ROG. There's one that's called end of month terms. And so I'll be going over each of those here very briefly for you. But those terms tell you what kind of discount you get. All right, so your book in 7-9, we have our first problem here, which is example number 9. And this is found on page 211, exercise number 9. Valiant Plumbing ordered sinks from a supplier. The sinks had a net price of $8,300. So that was basically after you got a trade discount. You have a net price, that's what you owe. And the terms of the sale are 3/15 N45. And this, by the way, is what is called cash discounts when the net amount is due. And so in this case, what they're asking is, what is the amount of the cash discount if I was to get one? And then what is the net amount due if the bill is paid on the 15th day? Okay. So what amount of a discount will I get? Well, it's again a 3% discount. That's what we're being told here. So I would take 8,300 and I would multiply that by 0.03. And that's going to tell me how much of a discount I'm going to get. This is called a cash discount. And that's if I paid it on the 15th. So again, remember 3 and 15. By the way, the invoice date on this was not given. So we're just going to assume that it was paid on the 15th day, not the 15th of the month. So the 15th day means I still get the cash discount. And so I'm going to go ahead and multiply my 8,300 times the cash discount, 0.03. And that's going to equal a $249 discount. So I got a $249 discount by paying it within the 15 days of the terms. And so what would I owe? Well, I would owe 8,300 minus 249 because I got a discount because I paid it early, right? So I would basically minus that from 8,300. And so my new balance that I had to pay because I paid it, or my balance on that day, the 15th day, is not 8,300. It's actually $8,051. So I saved $249. So that's how using the terms of a cash discount works. Now, even though it said N45 because I paid the whole amount on the 15th, I didn't have to worry about that. It was done. I paid $8,051. Had I made a partial payment and I didn't pay all $8,000, and I would get a discount on the amount that I did pay. So that's interesting. We'll talk about that in a little bit here. Now, there's another way to do this that makes it a little bit easier. Is you might say, well, how much was, I don't want to know how much the discount was. I just want to know how much the new net price was after the discount. So again, you could have taken the 8,300 and multiplied that by the equivalent of the 3%. So that would have been the same thing as 97%. So if I take 8,300 times 0.97, it's going to give me the same answer, 8,051. So that was the new net amount I owe if I get the cash discount. All right, as I just mentioned, sometimes people make a partial payment. They don't pay the whole invoice yet, so they make a partial payment before the 15th or before the end date of that discount. And so they get a partial discount, and then they have a remaining balance that will be due on the final day that the invoice is due. So we're going to move on now to 7-10. And this is when, as I mentioned a minute ago, sometimes you make a partial payment. And so you will be able to get a cash discount if that partial payment is made before the discount period ends. And then whatever remains, you will have to pay by the due date according to the terms. So we're going to move into page 212, exercise number 10. And this one says that All Pro Sporting Center purchases $45,300 worth of baseball gloves from Spalding on May 5th, so 5/5. And if Spalding allows a 4 and 15 N45 terms, the question is, and if a $20,000 payment is made before the discount date or on the discount date, how much credit will be given? So how much of a discount are they going to get? And then what is the net amount due? Now, when you work the partial payment problems, the temptation is going to be to take the $20,000 and then to take the discount percentage off. So in this case, if it was paid by 5/20, 15 days later, then they would get a 4% discount off of their partial payment. Now, because they're not paying the whole amount, they don't get a discount off the whole amount. They only get a discount off of the amount that they have paid or that they're paying. So in this case, $20,000. So you want to use a little bit different formula for that. You want to do your partial payment. So basically your partial payment is $20,000. And you want to divide that by 1 minus the discount amount. So in this case, the discount amount is going to be 4% if they paid it within that amount. And so if you multiply that together or divide that. So first let's figure out what this bottom number is, 20,000. And you want to do this when you're doing partial payments. And this is now going to be 90. It's a 4%. Let me make sure I get that right. It's a 4%. Yeah, 4% discount right here. So it's going to be 96, right? So I'm going to divide 20,000, and that's going to come out to $20,833.33. So that is your actual payment because you were given a discount. So basically, you would then take your 45,300, and you would minus the 20,833.33. So we will, take that minus 45.3 equals 24,000. So now your new balance is $24,466.67 as I rounded that up. So now that is your new net amount. That's what you now owe after that discount. You owe $24,466.67. Now it says N45. So how many days? It's going to be 40 due. That 24,466.67 is going to be due 45 days after May 5th. So how do you figure out that? Well, I just count the days. So 30 days has September, April, June, and November. So there's 31 days in May. So 31 days in May. So that would be, if I went to June 5th, that would be 30 days. So June 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So it's going to be due on June 20th. That's when it would be due. So 6/20 would be 45 days after the invoice date. Hopefully that makes sense, but that's how you do a partial payment. Next, your book gets into kind of how to figure out the days, and that you can study that if you want to. There's different ways to calculate the dates, and I don't do any of that. The only thing I'm going to cover now is the two other terms in which you can calculate your trade discount. Or I mean your cash discount. So we'll look at those next. All right, there's two other methods for figuring out your cash discount. I just showed you the standard cash discount, but there's two other types of discounts you can do. One that's ROG terms. That means receipt of goods. So all that means is if it has ROG on there, that you don't start counting the dates of your discount and the dates that your invoice is due until you receive the goods. So if you purchased it on May 5th, but you didn't receive the goods till May 20th, then everything starts on May 20th. If your terms were 4 and 15 and N45, then it's not based on when you ordered. It's going to be on when you receive the goods, ROG, and then everything goes from the 20th. So if that's the case, if you get 4% in 15 days, there's only 30 days in the month of May. So basically, you would have until June 5th for your discount, even though you bought it on May 5th. Because you got the receipt of goods terms here, you actually don't start counting until you receive the goods. So 15 days after you receive the goods is June 5th, and that's when your discount period would end. And then of course you would add another 30 days to that for when you're N45, when you're actually due for the remainder. So just remember, receipt of goods, all you're doing is doing the same thing, but you're not taking up on the invoice date. You're taking it on the day that you receive the goods. That's the only difference. Everything else is exactly the same. Now, there's one other method that's a little trickier, but it's actually a lot easier once you get it, and that is called EOM method, or what's called end of month. And basically, the end of month terms are, it all depends on when the invoice is dated. So if the invoice is dated the 1st through the 25th of the month, any month, whatever month it is, it doesn't matter, whatever month it is, then it is due on the 30th of the following month. Okay, so for instance, if I have an invoice dated 6/10, right? So 6/10, it's within the 1st to the 25th of the month, so that means it's going to be due on the 30th of the next month, which means that it would be due on 7/30, right? I mean, it's easy when you just look at where the date is and then just add the 30th of the following month. So in this case, the month was 6/10, it was June 10th. And so it was between the 1st and 25th. So the very next month is July. So it's due on the 30th of July. Again, if I pick a different date, let's just say July 4th is when I ordered it. It's again within the 1 to 25 days. So therefore, it's going to be not due on July 30th. It's going to be due on August 30th. So that's called end of month, and it's always that date. However, end of month, what happens if your invoice is after the 26th of the month? And that's what I'm going to look at next. So if you have an end of month terms, and let's just say that your date is the date of your invoice is July 27th. That's when you bought it. On the end of month terms, since it's basically the 26th through the 31st, if it's dated in there, it's going to follow these terms. So this one's dated the 27th. So when is it due? Not the 30th of the next month. So not 8/30, but the following month. So it's actually going to be due on 9/30. So in other words, if it's after the 25th, it's on the 26th through the 31st, 30th, 31st, it's not going to be at the 30th of the next month. It's going to be the 30th of the month after that. And so again, if I have an invoice dated 1/29, right, January 29th, and I'm using the end of month terms, same thing. It falls between the 26th and 31. So I'm going to not go to the next month. I'm not going to do February 30th, which, by the way, there is no February 30th. I'm going to go to March 30th, and that's when it would be due. So that's the end of month terms. So those are, I think, a lot simpler. All you're doing is looking for what window it's in. So if it says EOM on there, it'll typically look something like this. It'll say end of month, and it'll say, 5 and 15 EOM. That's kind of how it'll go. And then what that will mean is that your discount period is 15 days after the invoice date. So if the invoice date was 7/11, then you're going to have 15 days to get your 5%. So you're going to have, for your discount period, is going to be 11 days. So it's going to be on the 26th, right? That's your discount period. But your end of month terms means it's on the 11th. So that means it's going to be the 30th of the next month. So it's going to be 8/30. That's when it's totally due, whatever remaining amount is due, or the total is due, whatever you made a partial payment before the 26th, then you would get that off, but the total would be due on the 30th of August. So hopefully that's helpful. Those aren't too difficult. I don't really have, I guess I can work out one problem with the end of month terms so that you can see. So here's one here. It's page 215, exercise 13 in your book. And it says, what are the discount date and net date of an invoice dated November 18th? So this is the date that it was dated. If you have the terms 3/15 EOM. And that's pretty much how it'll read. So in this case, it's asking you, what is the discount date? So in other words, what date am I going to get the 15% off or 3% off till? And then when does it totally due? So in this case, I would add 15 days to the 18th of November, so 19th, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. There's 30 days in November. So December 1st, December 2nd, December 3rd. So 12/3 would be the end of my discount period. I'd have to pay it before then to get any discount. But whether I do or not make a partial payment, I still have until the end of the month. So in this case, because it's the 18th, it's before the 26th or 25th, that means it would be the next month. So the whole thing would be due 12/30. So pretty simple. Next one, same problem, says November 27th is the due date. And it's the same terms, 315 EOM 40, or EOM. So it's the same terms, but this time it's the 27th, right? So again, the discount date would be 15 days from the 27th. So 28th, 29th, 30, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. So it's going to be 12/12. 12/12 is when my discount period ends for this particular one. And when is the whole thing due? Well, because it's after the 25th, it's not going to be due on 12/30. That's only 30 days. It's going to be due on 1/30. So it'll go all the way to January. So it's a lot easier, I think, to do the end of month terms. But anyway, there is another one called extra dating, but I don't usually have you guys do that one, so you don't need to worry about that one. But that's pretty much it. Hopefully that was helpful, everybody, and have a great week. And this video should be posted soon.